Good morning, y'all. I just wanted to start this new series out, reading in the book of Job, but I just want this series to be reading different parts of the Bible and different stories in the Bible, and just being able to take different things from the stories in the Bible and being able to know that we can apply them to our lives and that we can always be in the Word and we can go through the Word. And you don't have to do it alone, but we can do this together, because I know in our lives we have many different things going on that are out some circumstances that may not be able to allow us to get in the Word as much as we should be. And this is just another way that I want to be able to help people get in the Word and be able to understand the Word in a different way if you aren't able to understand it. And I just wanted to start this out in the book of Job, because Job is a really great book in the Bible, because it's about a man who he had everything, and then he lost everything, and then he got everything back. But through it all, he always maintained his faith, and he always maintained his faith in God, and he never deterred from it. And he always knew that God had a plan for his life, no matter what, through the highs and lows of life and the ups and downs. And Job was always faithful to God, and that he never deterred from it, no matter what Satan did. So let's just start in Job 1:1, and it says, "There was a man in the country of Uz named Job. He was a man of complete integrity who feared God and turned away from evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. His estate included 7,000 sheep and goats, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 female donkeys, and a very large number of servants. Job was the greatest man among all the people of the East. His sons used to take turns having banquets at their homes. They would send an invitation to their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. Whenever a round of banqueting was over, Job would send for his children and purify them, rising early in the morning to offer burnt offerings for all of them. For Job thought, perhaps my children have sinned, having cursed have cursed God in their hearts. This was Job's regular practice. One day the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. The Lord asked Satan, "Where have you come from?" "From roaming the earth through the earth," Satan answered him, "and walking around on it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? No one else on earth is like him, a man of perfect integrity who fears God and turns away from evil." Satan answered the Lord, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Haven't you placed a hedge around him, his household, and everything he owns? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand and strike everything he owns, and he will surely curse you to your face." "Very well," the Lord told Satan, "everything he owns is in your power. However, do not lay a hand on Job himself." So Satan left the Lord's presence. One day when Job's sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, a messenger came to Job and reported, while the oxen were plowing and the donkeys grazing nearby, the Sabeans swooped down and took them away. They struck down the servants with the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you. He was still speaking when another messenger came and reported, "God's fire fell from heaven. It burned the sheep and the servants and devoured them, and I alone have escaped to tell you." The messenger was still speaking when yet another man came and reported, "The Chaldeans formed 3 bands, made a raid on the camels, and took them away. They struck down the servants with the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you." He was still speaking when another messenger came and reported, "Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house. Suddenly a powerful wind swept in from the desert and struck the 4 corners of the house. It collapsed on the young people so that they died, and I alone have escaped to tell you." Then Job stood up, tore his robe, and shaved his head. He fell to the ground in worship, saying, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will leave this life. The Lord gives, and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Throughout all this, Job did not sin or blame God for anything. One day the sons of God came again to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them to present himself before the Lord. The Lord asked Satan, "Where have you come from?" "From roaming the earth," Satan answered him, "and walking around on it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? No one else on earth is like him, a man of perfect integrity who fears God and turns away from evil. He still retains his integrity, even though you incited me against him to destroy him for no good reason." "Skin for skin," Satan answered the Lord. "A man will give up everything he owns in exchange for his life. But stretch out your hand and strike his flesh and bones, and he will surely curse you to your face. Very well, the Lord told Satan. He is in your power. Only spare his life. So Satan left the Lord's presence and infected Job with terrible boils from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. Then Job took a piece of broken pottery to scrape himself while he sat amongst the ashes. His wife said to him, "Are you still holding onto your integrity? Curse God and die. You speak as a foolish woman speaks," he told her. Should we accept only good from God and not adversity? Throughout all this, Job did not sin in what he said. Now when Job's 3 friends, Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad and the Shuhite, and the Zophar the Nemathite, heard about all this adversity that had happened to him, each of them came from his home. They met together to go and sympathize with him and comfort him. When they looked from a distance, they could barely recognize him. They wept aloud. And each man tore his robe and threw dust into the air and on his head. Then they sat on the ground with him 7 days and nights, but no one spoke a word to him because they saw that his suffering was very intense. After this, Job began to speak and cursed the day he was born. He said, "May the day I was born perish, and the night that said a boy is conceived. If only that day had turned to darkness. May God above not care about it, or light shine on it. May darkness and gloom reclaim it, and the clouds settle over it. May what darkens the day terrify it, if only darkness had taken that night away. May it not appear among the days of the year, or be listed in the calendar. Yes, may that night be barren. May no joyful shout be heard in it. Let those who curse days condemn it, those who are ready to arouse Leviathan. May its morning stars grow dark. May it wait for daylight, but have none. May it not see the breaking of dawn, for that night did not shut the doors of my mother's womb and hide sorrow from my eyes. Why was I not stillborn? Why didn't I die as I came from the womb? Why did the knees receive me, and why were there breasts for me to nurse? Now I would certainly be lying down in peace. I would be asleep. Then I would be at rest with the kings and counselors of the earth, who rebuilt ruined cities for themselves, or with princes who had gold, who filled their houses with silver. Or why was I not hidden, like a miscarried child, like infants who never see daylight? There the wicked cease to make trouble, and there the weary find rest. The captives are completely at rest. They do not hear a taste-maker's voice. Both small and great are there, and the slave is set free from his master. Why is light given to one burdened with grief, and life to those whose existence is bitter, who wait for death, but it does not come, and search for it more than for hidden treasure, who are filled with much joy and are glad when they reach the grave? Why is life given to a man whose path is hidden, whom God had hedged in? I sigh when food is put before me, and my groans pour out like water, for the thing I feared has overtaken me, and what I dreaded has happened to me. I cannot relax or be calm. I have no rest, for turmoil has come. And that part of Job just shows me that no matter what happened to Job, he always had his faith in the Lord, and he always had his eye on the Lord, and that he knew he had to maintain his faith through the good and bad times in life and the highs and lows in life, because you cannot expect God when only good things happen, but when bad things happen, because God and Jesus, we know that this life as Christians and just as followers of Jesus and followers of the Lord, that this life wasn't meant to be easy. It was never supposed to be easy, and we should have never expected this life to be easy, because God never said this life was going to be an easy life. He actually said the opposite. He said this life was going to be a hard life because this world is against him and this world is against Jesus. So it's going to be a hard life. You have to expect hard times. You have to expect highs and lows in this life. And Job perfectly represents that. He sometimes may had questions on why things happened or why all this happened to him, but he always maintained his faith in the Lord, and he never gave up, and he never deterred from the Lord. And hope you guys like this series, and I just want to keep continuing doing it. So comment down below if you like this series and you want me to keep doing this series.